Hello everyone, it's Adam here. This is my first video, well no. I did a video a few days after my rotator cuff surgery that I had performed on my right shoulder on April 5th. So you're seeing this about a month and a week after my surgery. And by the time you see this, I'll be about 5 or 6 days away from getting this sling off. What you're seeing here is a blue apparatus that basically hooks into a tube that funnels cold water all over my shoulder. It's really a miraculous device. And so I'm in this sling, and I've been in it now for 5 weeks. It's been tough. It's been really tough. I have a great situation at work. They've been very good about working with me, but I'm getting all my work done. I'm still attending all my meetings. And so, I'm getting the job done. I'm just not able to think creatively as I usually am. And I've gotten a little bit just kind of in a rut about just kind of sitting in, eating in, sleeping in a recliner all day, every day. This video, I think I'm going to title it Big News, and then maybe like a semicolon or a dash, and then I purchased a new camera. Well, I have this, which I actually bought in January, which is the Canon R5. I should stop clicking the table here. I have been shooting Canon full frame for over a decade, starting with the 5D Mark III, then the Mark IV, and now the R5. I'm still rocking all my EF lenses, so down here I've got, wide angles, fisheyes, macros, telephoto lenses, portrait lenses, primes and such. I have about, if I were to replace all of my Canon EF lenses with RF glass, which is the mirrorless format, all these lenses would be about half the size and half the weight, which would be fantastic, but replacing all of them would cost like 10 grand. And that's just not something that I want to spend the money on right now. Although I'm going to a minor league baseball team match next week, and they require a maximum of 5 inches of depth for your camera lens. And I'm like, man, if I just had the 24-70 that wasn't the EF, I could bring this. Oh well. There's a war against non-professional professionals when it comes to sports photography. That's not the big news, though, that I bought an R5 in January. You already knew about that, and it fits perfectly in my tank bag for motorcycle trips. I've lugged a full-frame Canon camera and a couple lenses with me every day in my backpack, 5-6 days a week for a decade. And I've been hungry and hankering for something lighter, more travel-worthy. A camera that I can wear all day without feeling strain on my shoulder or my neck, not asking myself that I grabbed the right lens. And so I went on a fact-finding mission 2 or 3 months ago, and I narrowed it down to a bunch of cameras. So like the RX100 6 or 7, it's a 1-inch sensor, Sony zoom lens camera, fixed zoom. It's like 24-70 roughly focal length with a 1-inch sensor. It's getting pretty long in the tooth. Permanently marketed as a vlogging camera. There was an RX 1X, I believe, which is fixed lens and has a full frame sensor. It's also getting pretty old now, 4 years old. And there were 2 versions of the Ricoh GR3 and the GR3X, each with different focal lengths, both with an APS-C sensor, which is a little larger if you're a photographer. And starting in March, so the last month or so, 2 months now, I began coming to terms with sort of a philosophy that someone had I read a philosophy a couple years ago that said, at a point in your life, you're going to need to buy the thing that you said you could never afford. And there's no time but this certain specific milestone. Because after this moment, you're not going to be able to afford it anymore. And one of my last recent videos about all the health stuff I've been doing, my feet x-rays and getting my bone spur taken care of, the Invisalign I have in right now, I mean, like just a whole laundry list of stuff, 30 minutes of basically doctor visits. One of you figured it out. But that's not what I'm going to talk about yet. I sent a link to this camera to my wife 10 years ago, no, about 8 years ago, and said, this is like my dream camera. And I looked it up in email and in iMessage history. I have sent her pictures of links to this camera, used or new, at least twice a year. You know that? At least twice a year for the last 8 years. And in November, the day I got my job at Credit Karma, November 15th, a new version of this camera was announced. And I sent it to her and I said, isn't this the most beautiful camera that you've ever seen? And she said, yes, but that's not your Christmas gift. And the reason why I bought the camera holding my hand, I'm taking the case off of it so you can see it better. The reason I bought the camera in my hand is because I can't find a modern full frame camera that is small, light, watertight or water sealed, so you can carry it in the rain, and that is has fast glass, a 350 shot battery life, and even if I could, the resale value never holds up. So the Ricoh GR3 is $1,000, $1,100 camera. I can buy one on eBay right now for $350, $400. It's not cosmetically beautiful, but you know, that's a typical depreciation of a camera after a couple of years of real world use. And this camera, if I were to buy the version 1 of it, it's on version 2 now, that was released in 2015, that camera is still going for, used, $1,000 less than it was new. And I thought, what a crazy low depreciation. You know, to only depreciate 20% of its MSRP in 8 years. I have smart viewers, and they're doing the math, and they're like, $5,000? And so after 8 years of lusting, I bought this. There's no red dot. There's no red dot. This is the exact model or edition that I sent to my wife in November 15th. What is it? Well, it is a Leica, handmade in Germany. Usually one person on the floor makes these by hand over the course of about 16 hours or 2 days. It's equipped with a 28 millimeter fixed f1.7 aperture. It has a macro mode built in, and has autofocus and manual focus. The aperture control is on the ring, so you can see if it zooms in or not, but you've got macro, aperture, and focus all on the ring. You can fix your focus with this little button right here on the side. On the top, you have a hot shoe for your flash. You have your exposure settings. 2000 is the highest still going exposure, but it will drop as low as fourth of a second. Built-in Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, connects to your phone for geotagging, which works really, really, really well. Like the geotagging is excellent, no sort of business there. The boot up is super fast. So here it is, kind of looking at my face. There we are. Doesn't that look much better than the iPhone? And then you have, of course, manual focus if you want to. And if you put your hand over here on this little eye hole, right here, then it'll activate a 1 million dot screen, which has there. It is full frame, and it takes some of the most exceptional photos I've ever seen. The photos, if you look at some of the independent labs testing, the photos of this, like a Q2, are the dynamic range, the color accuracy, the white noise, or sort of like low light noise, are identical to my Canon R5. Now the Canon R5, I paid $2,900 for it because I have Waze. Sorry for my knee hit thing again. This is a $5,000 camera as well, just for the body. If you were to somehow purchase this lens, this 28 millimeter f1.7 from Leica Summilux, it's about a $5,000 lens, and you get a camera for free. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I've been running it with this nice Italian leather base, which has a little bit of height to the bottom of it there, and then adds a grip to the front as well. Screws in nicely. You still have access to your battery and your memory card door. I am running the stock harness that comes with this thing. It's nice. It's very, very well done rope. Why is this white and why is there no red dot? Well, the watch magazine Hodinkee, this is the second version of what they call a ghost camera. It's supposed to match kind of aged watches. They used to, I think they had an M8 or an M9, maybe it was an M10 ghost edition. This is the Leica Q2 ghost edition. Limited to 1,000 units, but they're not selling that fast because MSRP is $6,000, I think. I didn't pay $6,000, I paid $4,500 for this. Some very generous person, and by the way, B&H Photo had this open box for $5,000. Adorama had it open box for $5,200. Open box, never used. This person went to the Leica store in Germany, purchased it. He's a collector. Purchased it and opened the box. Never even took the battery out of the wrap. Took a look at it next to his other Leica Q2, which he has as a black one. He just didn't feel this was like homage to classic Leica look. Probably wasn't going to appreciate much in value, so he said, just going to sell it. And he sold it to me for $4,900, shipping and everything. Never even registered it, so I had the extra 2-year warranty on top of the stock warranty. So came in the box, nothing was touched. Basically, the camera was taken out, but all the materials and stuff were all still in their wrapper. The photos are exceptional, and I've been carrying it with me everywhere. When I leave the house, it's wallet, phone, and Leica. So if you see me out and you want to make a quick buck, you can definitely rob me because I'll have it on me at all times. It's going to live in the tank bag on the motorcycle. I took it out for 2 days in DC. It was downpour, rained on. No problem, no issue. Took it to a rodeo. It got totally dusty. I ran it under the sink. It's water sealed. It's IPX. Whether it's IP, it's not IPX. IP52. So water resistant. Don't submerge it in water. Ran it under the sink. No problem at all. Works fine. All my cameras. This one too. This one I was at a rally a couple weeks ago and got covered in mud off a dirt bike, and it was completely caked in mud. Took it home, ran into the sink. It's fine. Took a toothbrush to it. Totally fine. It's not that I don't have a value of money. It's that these cameras are rated for that, so I treat them at the rating that they are, spec'd in the manufacturer spec. Yeah, I would say if I was carrying around my Canon R5 with a fixed 35 millimeter lens, let's say 35, maybe 24, whatever, 28 is what Leica has. And I looked at the Canon R5 and the Leica Q2 images side by side, same focal length, same aperture. It's almost impossible to tell them apart until you look at the color. The Leica color is warmer, higher contrast, and in RAW you can eliminate all that, but the processing on the Leica is this typical Leica look for you photographers out there, and I'm one of those guys now, I guess. And the only difference from the Canon R5 to the Leica Q2 is just how freaking fast the R5 focuses. When I'm doing motorsports or at the rodeo, or people who are running other sports or just action in general, or a fast-moving subject, any fast-moving subject, even for a portrait, the Canon R5 focuses, it holds the focus and it just follows, it tracks so smoothly, thousands of tracking points. The Leica is struggles with focusing. So assuming that you can't zoom and you can't, autofocus very fast, it's fantastic. 47 megapixels versus my, I think, 44 on the Canon R5. And so what that means though, that with the Leica Q2 is 47 megapixels. There's a photo I put on Instagram that was actually like taken from 100 feet away of heather. And I was able to crop, 1/8 of the frame. And on social media, you really don't see any artifacts. It looks really good. I think I could probably print a 4x6 from that quarter crop. And it's like looking at a 12 megapixel image off an iPhone. I bought this expecting to return it, but hoping I wouldn't have to. I was actually going to return it for that $400 Ricoh GR3, which I could have bought like 10 or 15 of those for the price of this one camera. Why is it so expensive? Like I said, hand built by one person in Germany, all German components. Almost, I would say 95, 96% of this body is metal. You've got a leather wrap here on the front, but metal throughout, very strong. It's not going to get destroyed quite easily. Probably run off over the car and be fine. I expect to own this camera for at least 10 years and then sell it for about $2 or $3 grand. That's my assumption or expectation with this camera in particular. Leicas tend to appreciate over time. There's one thing that I won't have as far as collectors want to have. The first 150 of the 1,000 of these had a top plate that was engraved with Leica on the top plate. I don't have that, but everything else is the same as the 1,000 units are all identical except for those first 150. So as far as collectability, I don't have that. So why do I need? Well, back to the philosophy thing. Why buy this roughly $6,000 camera now? Just moved, just got a new job, saving to buy a house down here maybe or somewhere. Not really, I'll be honest with you guys, not making a ton of money compared to what I was making in New Hampshire. In fact, just for cost of living, I took a pay cut moving down here. So it's not like I'm rolling in money all of a sudden. I bought this because Heather is pregnant. And I'm gonna pause because folks that love my travel videos, like all 50 of you, are like, oh no, this is terrible news. Yeah, so if all goes according to plan, whatever, the heavens, whatever. If science takes its course and all goes well, because you can't make plans when it comes to kids, she'll be giving birth November 10th, which is 1 year of my anniversary of taking this job. 1 year of sending this camera to Heather and saying, hey, this is a good Christmas gift. Joking, of course. As for, how it happened, we're all adults. I don't need to get a whiteboard out. But, one day we said, I think it's time. I'm 36, I'll be 37 in August. So I'll be, 57 when the kid is 20. And we've got great health insurance right now, just remarkable health insurance. We both get 3 months off work if we want it for leave, for the day it's born. All the checkups are free and delivery is $50. It's like the lowest cost way to have a baby. And she's fully remote, so we won't need daycare for a while. She can, work and take care of the kid. And I'm working from home 2 days a week. So like no childcare costs, no pre-K. It's the time. It's, Tom didn't give me this kind of allowances when it came to insurance or time off. And we were both working in offices back then and not virtually. And it's time. So after that conversation, 4 weeks later, she was pregnant, and you know, didn't really do anything differently in my life. Just woke up one day to a positive test. I know some people aren't that lucky, but that's just what happened to us. And I'll address this in a vlog later, so we're not getting into that right now. But for the Leica Q2, this lives on a shelf, and it gets put in my backpack when I go to work, when I go on trips, when we go long distance trips. But I can't take it to concerts, I can't take it to sports stadiums, I can't put it over my shoulder when we go to California or San Francisco just for safety and kind of like not getting it stolen off of me at gunpoint. The R5 is the photographer's camera, but it's big and heavy. And I don't like iPhone pictures at all. And so I knew the moment my kid was born, I wanted a camera that can sit on our kitchen table, out of the way, off the, no rope thing on it or anything, just the camera. And when something's happening, I want to take point and shoot pictures. And the Leica, because its size and compactness, and it's always like sitting on my lap in the car. I've owned it for 4 weeks now. I've taken more photos than ever before owning this thing, because it's always on you. If you don't mind carry around a camera that goes for $6,000, and that is the biggest reason I bought it. When the kid smiles, or takes a step, or is eating its first solid foods, or pictures of the nursery, pictures of the first car ride, in the nursery, at the hospital, taking pictures. This thing is a little intimidating. And okay, I'll have this for the hospital stay, but the candids that the Leica takes are so rich and beautiful, and the camera is so unobtrusive and so out of the way and so tourist, that it's just the best thing to have in the moment. It's not so good that I would sell all of my lenses and my Canon, but if I had started with the Leica, I may not have ever purchased a full frame SLR. I may have stuck with that point and shoot, because it's an iPhone's focal length. The main camera you're looking at right now, it's that focal length, but in a sensor that's like 8 or 10 times larger, and a much lower aperture and just better optics. So as for the "hey everyone, Heather is pregnant" bit, it's early. I can still return the camera if I have to, but I am going to spend a separate video discussing this, because I feel like most people aren't even going to catch that part, because they're going to see a 25-minute long video and go, "I'm not watching that." But yes, I bought a Leica Q2. I freaking love it. It's really nice. And I'm gonna have a kid, likely this November. And that's why I've been doing all this stuff to my body, because I want the fixed shoulder. I want to get the deep teeth work fixed. I want my foot fixed. With my nutritionist, losing weight. I'm hiking all the time. I'm, getting all this stuff. Everything's just getting fixed. And we're in a good place. We own the home up north. We're debt free, except for the truck. We both have great jobs, great insurance. It's time. And as for how many kids, we're both on the one and done path. We still want to travel. We still want to take motorcycle trips with the kid behind me and her on her own bike. And so there's going to be more about this, but as for this channel and my entertainment value to you all, doesn't matter. There's lots of people making videos like this. And, you know, if it happens where I go a couple years without making a video, it's no big deal. Come on. I love being creative. I've had a camera on me. Kodak DX 440 maybe. You know, my first camera was when I was in middle school. My first point and shoot camera, and my first, you know, point and shoot professional camera when I was 17, and my first SLR at age 20. I mean, I'm 36. Photography is in my blood. I started my first podcast in 2004. I had 3 of them in 2004, actually. Started blogging in 1999. I joined YouTube and started publishing YouTube videos in 2005. This is in my blood. And so I don't think you're going to wonder one day, where's that Adam guy? But I am going to be a little bit busier. And so just be patient. But yeah, Leica Q2. I'm gonna leave you with some photos that I've taken this in the past few weeks. Let me just leave you with this one thing real quick. I can't do this because my arm is broken, but like, see this battery door release right there? Now, usually in every single other camera, when you release the battery falls out, right? But when you turn this door open, I'm just gonna turn the door off camera. Shit, son of a bitch. We should leave that in as outtakes. I pressed it with my finger. Hold on. Hold on, don't go away yet. Okay, when you press that, the battery doesn't fall out. You have to give it an extra touch and then it can fall out. But everything about this, the SD card door is metal. Everything you touch is like aluminum or steel. It's just this amazing experience. And I think people are like, well, it should be for $6. Yeah. Yes. But the fact that like I could have bought this camera's previous generation for $1,000 less than it cost, and it was 8 years old. You know, this is the 2022 model, and so I'm expecting a long life out of this thing, and great photos of my kid. And that's what matters. Is my kid is gonna have the most beautiful. It might be an ugly kid. If you're seeing this, you might be ugly, but the photos of you are gonna be amazing. I'm looking forward to that. All right, everyone. Still in this thing. I won't be riding all summer. I don't think so. I'm gonna be cleared for driving in 3 or 4 weeks, and then I have to get to where I can do this with my arms. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. So this is probably out for the summer, but there are trips planned. So be ready for those trips. We got a big one coming up in August. Not on the bikes, sorry, but it's big, it's special. All right, shout out to Flickr, where I post my good pictures on Instagram. I'll put a link in the description or in the comments to my Flickr page, because even if you don't see me making YouTube videos for a while, I will always be uploading photos to Flickr, and that's the place to go. So hopefully you'll find me there. Ride safe. Have a great summer, everyone, and